Hi everyone, this is my first video on modeling car parts using the Expert Curve Modeling add-in. Today we're going to do this part here. Expert Curve Modeling is a tool that cannot completely replace standard modeling, but it can well complement it, don't forget it. We'll also apply the model we created and work with it a bit in grid mode. A lot of effort has been put into this video, and I hope it will be helpful to you. Let's get the machine drawings in the viewport right. I just dragged the drawing in Blender from the desktop to the middle of the viewport. Let's customize our blueprint. If you rotate the viewport, your drawing will disappear because by default it is not set to show in perspective. Let's fix that. On the back side, your drawing will be transparent. This is configurable here. If it doesn't work, then you clicked on the wrong place as I did. The parameter we need is below. But we don't mind leaving it the way it is. So now to protect our eyes from the scorching white color, let's adjust the opacity parameter. I think I just gave my eyes a second chance at life. This will be our side view. Highlight it and duplicate it to position the other drawings. Rotate it along the z-axis by 90 degrees. As you can see from the side drawing, we made the foreshortening for the back, because with this rotation relative to the side drawing, we should be able to see the back. Now we duplicate our drawing again and rotate it 180 degrees along the z-axis for the front view perspective. Now duplicate our side view to make a top view. Rotate it on the x-axis so that when viewed from above you can see that in my case you need to rotate it by -90 degrees. Now let's move them off-center so that they don't interfere with our modeling using axis movements. You should now be able to see our drawing when switching from views from different angles. Now we will create a dimensional cube and customize the layout of the drawings on our cube. Let's switch it to wire display, since we don't need to see its walls. Go to the side view. For me, it's numpad 1. Go to edit mode and select the points below. They should be selected from all sides. So also switch the viewport to wireframe mode to select the points all the way through. Now let's fit our cube to the edges of the car. I don't really trust their drawings, so I try not to use tires and small parts as reference points. How accurately you set this, the higher the likelihood of making the car more accurately, but here also a lot depends on the drawings. I had never had one place burn like that before I found out about the existence of drawings for machines. Therefore, take them as recommendations rather than as perfect, full-fledged drawings. Pressing numpad 7 should give us a top view. We move our drawing approximately in the center. Here we must adjust the width of the car, so we can only move the points this way. The length of the car should already be correct, so don't change it. You can move the drawing to the correct position by focusing on the cube. The drawing cannot be deformed, remember. Numpad 3 is our rear view of the car. Look, we have two drawings here. Move exactly the one you see, and not the one that is the transparent part towards us. Here you need to move the drawing in the middle of your dimensional cube since all the dimensions should already be correct, but in the drawings there remains a slight inaccuracy that can be corrected, but only a little. Front view is Control Numpad 3. Seems perfect. Let's check all the angles from different sides of the views. To prevent you from accidentally moving them while working, you need to disable the ability to select them. Since drawings of cars often do not give all the necessary information for modeling, you need to find photos of your car in different angles or 360-degree image of the model. Both are better, of course. The main thing is that you can see the part of the car you need when modeling. I'll hide the mesh so it's out of the way. I think you also realize the curves of the car are very poorly readable on the drawing. It is very difficult to start modeling a car, so I suggest you first look at the image in detail and note all the curves that we want to take into account when modeling. Mark the edge. Look, here we have the beginning of the protrusion. It also needs to be marked. We will be modeling with a mirror, so we mark it only on one side. You can't see it from this side, but we mark it so that we don't forget. Bringing it to the border of the part of the car that you plan to model, we kind of outline our future mesh, which we will make with the help of Addon. Now the top. The point is that having done such work, you will have a better understanding of how to model. You will be easier in general. There's also a sharp transition. See here, we've got the further part going down, so we'll separate it right away. Also to the end of the hood of the car. Also note the following curves we have. If you pay attention to the other pictures, the curve from the front of the car goes to the doors as well. Notice here, we have a ledge. We focus on the curves of the door to position the mesh correctly. Now we also separate this part that goes down as well. You see here the beginning of the protrusion on the hood of the car. Let's draw a grid across it to reduce the number of our segments. We will now mark this transition. This is what we got. You can do this in your head. I'm showing it for illustrative purposes to make it easier for you to see where you need to make new segments, to make it easier to manage transitions, and to get more correct grid paths. I could be wrong, of course, but it seems to me that in terms of clarity, this way of drawing the segment should be good enough. You could say that now you have sort of gotten inside my head and are seeing what I'm seeing. In addition, after releasing a series of videos on modeling machine parts, I will be developing the ability to divide segments, which should also make your job easier. This is supposed to be a four-corner segment, so it looks like there's something extra here. One segment is enough here. When we model it, we can do differently already in place. Now it all fits together. Also try to avoid triangles when modeling the car. I think we're done with the drawing. I hope that was helpful. Also remember to make it so these photos can't be highlighted. If you have a second monitor like I do, it will be easier to move them to another screen. Let's get to modeling, activate the add-on, and call the plane. Move it to the desired location and scale it. Align it to the drawing using the point selection function. We're doing this part right now. The main movements and alignments in the drawing will be done using the select point function, so I won't voice them out. When selecting points, make sure you have selected the point behind you. For beginners, first of all, in the top view, we align points on the X and Y axis. In the other side and front views, we align the height. That is the Z axis. Move only on the axis. We will also do all extrusions with our extrude with axis selection. We're going to stick with our segment drawing. I have it on a second screen, as well as a photo of the car, so that it doesn't take up space in the viewer window, and you can see the modeling process better. The most interesting thing is that there are no internal curves of the hood on the drawing, only the protruding part. Unfortunately, this is common for car drawings. And we have to figure out where it should go on the drawing. We selected our entire part and click Select Point and scaled a little bit on the Y-axis. With the function Select Handles, we bend the curves to fit the curves of the drawing. Use this on those places where you do not plan to move the points anymore. We can also use the Replace functions to repeat our curves on the selected curves. Here we have a different bend, so we do it with our hands. If you see the part we did earlier, it should be lower, so we're going to omit it. If your vertices are too large, you can change this in the vertex scale settings. Look at this line. Let's take a look at her in the photo. This is a cut. It runs down the center of the protrusion and doesn't affect the shape. So we'll skip it at the end of the video. I'll show you how it's done, but for now, we'll just focus on the curves of the machine. It is difficult to say which of the drawings is more correct, the upper or the foreground. Perhaps the part closer to the foreground is more accurately labeled on it. If you notice, there is no fold-in line on the drawing, but there is a hint of its existence on the outline of the machine drawing. This is exactly what makes many people burn out when modeling cars. For that matter, I'm modeling a car for the second time in my life, and I'm already seething from moments like this too. Roughly extrude it along the z-axis, then try to align it to the drawing. Align it to the drawing, orient it on the right contour at the edge of the right point. I was aligned by looking at the second point that goes on the curved line of the drawing. Since we were extruding a curve with a bend and then move the point, our bend is slightly offset. Let's align it by selecting the handles and moving them slightly along the y-axis. Yeah, it looks like we're high up. We need to bring it down a little bit. It should also blend in with the front of the car while we align it with the neighboring points. Looks like our inside needs to be even lower to match the depth in the photo. I think I'm going to hurry. The middle should be on the cut line. I think I need coffee right away. We'll go to the points and align further. In curve mode, select handles, press V, and select vector to reset the curve. Now, let's equalize the height. If you have this situation, it means that the dimensions you are working in are small enough and the weld modifier is starting to blind neighboring points. Just set a smaller number like I did, but don't overdo it. Or, we have too big a resolution. If you look at the segment drawing, it would be better for us to pull them to here. Let's go one at a time. Let's bend this part to fit the blueprint so we don't forget. We haven't aligned the z-axis yet. We'll deal with that later. Here we need to reduce the resolution on the segments and adjust the bend. For now, we build the key segments. Let's see if we're following our diagram correctly. Wait, where's? Looks like what we drew has left us. I'm going to go save it and take a screenshot and add it here. You guys save stuff like that too, just in case. My drawing is back. This is the place. We're not going to do all the machine bends. It's too long, and I think you've already figured out how to do them. We'll just take the basic ones. Now I notice that you need to bend that ledge in height. Good thing it can be done at any time. This line probably shows us the side opening. Here is the hole. If you look at the curves on the door, you can see where they're close to the hole. The drawing doesn't quite show how much it protrudes from the car, so we'll do it roughly so we don't forget it's there. Then we'll tweak it later. The add-in is still in development. We continue to come up with new features that should make our lives easier when modeling. There will be more ways to do this even faster in the future. Make such corners a little further away from the drawing in such places, as they will be smoothed out in model mode. Let's add a mirror modifier to the object ECM. Align the origin to fit into the drawing. And maybe we can do that by updating the origin on the model. Or we can't. We got half a model here, so let's do it manually. We got one segment here. We probably should have done it differently. Use merge to connect these points. Try to avoid triangular segments when modeling small parts. They have a very high stitching threshold. They can't do that yet. You will also find it easier to manage the resolution on segments consisting of 4 curves. In fact, all this can be done much faster. For videos, I try to do it slower. Many people complain that they have to rewind when watching it. I'm just going to close this segment as our plans only include the shape of the car body. We're going to move it in a little bit because it's too narrow. Let's see what we can do with this angle. We can replace the lower curve. Let's be a little bit more accurate. It seems here we have a protrusion dissolving into the front end. We'll raise the dots by magnetizing them to their neighbors. The stiffness may be caused by excessive resolution on the segment. Let's reduce it a bit. Change the resolution direction on segments whose resolution does not match. Let's adjust the resolution on the remaining narrow segments for now. Let's try to replace these curves with an edge curve. Smooth the transition of these curves. If it is too stretched, select Handle and use Scale to reduce it. Let's smooth it out here too. I think we've managed to smooth this place out a bit. I'll show you later how to make it easier. Unfortunately, I have a faulty memory and I didn't remember it right away. Smooth it out a bit here. I remembered we hadn't done the contour around the wheel. Let's put the 3D cursor in the center of the wheel. Let's select all the curves that are on the circle. Extrude them axially perpendicular to the edges. Immediately select point. Switch to the 3D cursor and change the scale with the exception of the Y-axis for this. After pressing the S key, press Shift-Y. Then we magnetize along the Y-axis to the neighboring points. I think this hole should disappear as you get closer to the wheel. We'll also use a magnet. We got a lot of netting here. Let's minimize it. Now you have a sort of topological path around the wheel. Let's keep smoothing. I think that's what I'm missing. A method that quickly fixes minor smoothing problems is the corrective smooth modifier. Check the boundary fixing and smoothing checkboxes. It is enough to fix minor problems. You can set it after the subdivision modifier or before, but note that it is better to use it already after applying the model and pre-strengthen the hard edges with a chamfer. You could try to bring the resolution down to 2, but you might then lose stiffness on the other part. Let's also change the resolution on the front. Before the subdivision modifier, it smooths out much better. Don't overdo it. Eventually, that transition in the front disappeared with that anti-aliasing. More resolution required. I tried playing around with the resolution, but the best way was to just lower the curve a bit. Apparently, it was almost at the same level. Toward the end of the video, I'll show you how to make these transitions more rigid. I thought there would be a problem here, but everything looks good. I don't think I'm done yet. Let's continue here. Sorry for jumping from one thing to another. Long video recording reflects badly on me. I want to program. I have to suppress my inner demons while recording video. Look at the strong smoothing such places can shrink inside. So check this. I think when it will be a mesh, you need to remove the extra edges in the middle or exclude them with the help of Vertex Group from Modifier Smooth. We also had a manual resolution there. We need to convert the new segments to manual as well. We'll also reduce the resolution here. Let's do a couple more individual details related to the front end. We are in model mode and call a new plane so that it becomes a separate ECM object at once. It seems that in the next update, I should add a function to hide ECM objects from the panel. Yes, we need to shorten the distance for the weld modifier. I still don't quite understand how this place works in the drawing, so I'm just doing it as I understand it. I'm a programmer, not an artist. I think it's worth magnetizing or getting close to that edge. A lot of resolution. You need to reduce. Let's also add mirror. I don't really like it. There's a way to get that angle down to 0. You have to put this point kind of between the left and right on the same line. When moving, pay attention to the handles. If they sort of converge, then it's even. I think I wanted something like this. Let's make another separate piece. I think many have already understood the logic of the construction. This is the last detail. After, we will move on to the next step. In the future, of course, I'll try to add ways to draw segments. I already have some thoughts on it. Use the fill curve and switch to 4 curves mode. Let's add a mirror. The 2 dots are overlapping. That's why it's like this. You just have to move it back a little bit. I think that's enough to model the parts. I just realized that I was blind and didn't notice that I didn't align the front parts to the side view of the car. I'll fix it quickly. It's nice that it can be done at any time, but if you were to do it in polygons, it would be suicidal. To switch between ECM objects, we use the Shift-Tab hotkey. I've noticed we're a little crooked here. Let's fix it. Raise the middle a little bit. I think this is what we need. Let's apply this and see what we can do in mesh mode. We'll disable smooth corrective, so it won't be applied with the model. First of all, we can increase the stiffness of the necessary parts by bevel. You can also remove unnecessary ribs that don't make sense. It's a grid of quads, so it's easy for everything to stand out. I'll make the bevel stiffer so it shows on the screen and you do as you need. It's just a lot of people have asked if you can make the edges stiff. This is not the final for us as we plan to trim the curves that go from the front to match the curves on the door, so I just showed the possibility of creating rigid transitions. You can also use smooth mesh functions. There are many, for example, Relax and the standard Loop Tools add-on. It's hard to see in the photo, but it looks like it should dissolve into the front. So let's move the dots apart. You can also get rid of this by adding the lower vertices to the vertex group and connecting it to the modifier. The last thing I'd like to show you is the cuts. Let's do them. For some reason, I moved this part of the car instead of hiding the others. Let's bring it back. Align the points on this line. using double G so they slide over the edge. Then just make a bevel at 3, select the center edge, and press the V key to make the cut, and then move it a little bit to the side on the axis. Also here, we got a mirrored part on the other side. That's why it's like this. I think I've shown you everything I want to show you. This video was very big. I thought I was going to die. Thanks for watching. If it was useful, put a like. From how much you liked it, I will decide to record further or not. So the next part one would like to do based on the mesh to ECM feature. Have a nice day.